After high school, it was assumed that I would go on a mission for the church because that's what everyone did. My dad went on a mission. My sisters both had boyfriends that became husbands that went on missions. My brother went on a mission. I was next, and that was just kind of what you did. Nothing about the religion was ever very directive in my mind from the way that I grew up. It wasn't like, you will do these things. My parents didn't do it that way. They did it like, this is what you are expected to do. And if you don't, then you know the consequences. And so it was much more of an inferred kind of direction or directive. So even though the church says missions are voluntary, in my family it was voluntary, there was no way I could not go on a mission, even though it was presented as, this is your choice, It's like, no, it's not. You had meetings with the bishop who would do interviews with you as a youth, just to make sure that you were living the way you should be living. And so those were one-on-one interviews where they would ask you things like, are you paying your tithing, right? And so as a child, you would get an allowance from mom and dad, maybe. I mean, I don't know if we ever did, but you were supposed to take 10% and pay that. And so that was an easy question because your parents probably did it, right? And they'd go through a list of questions, about do you have any ill will toward any of your fellow man, right? And you're just like, no, I don't, I'm good, right? And so as you get older, the questions changed a bit and they started to talk about sex and sexuality. And I remember clearly that the bishops that I would talk to would say, do you have any unpure thoughts about the opposite sex? And I would say, no. And I knew I was telling the truth because I didn't. And I felt good. I felt good about that because I could look him in the eye and say, no, I am not having any unpure thoughts about the opposite sex. Had they just said the same sex, you got me all the time. Absolutely. Right? Nobody asked. And so, in my adolescent brain, I felt like I'm good. I'm doing just fine. The way that it all kind of crashed together for me was really as I was getting ready to go on a mission and filling out the paperwork and going through interviews for that the questions started to be a little more, I would say, real around what was really going on and asking questions that were much more to the point. And I lied. I knew people who decided not to go on a mission or couldn't go on a mission because they got a girl pregnant or they were, addicted to drugs and things like that. Those people were really just ostracized. People wiped them clean from memory and families, and nobody talked about them. So you knew that if you didn't go, that's what was in store for you. And so I went.